Good morning, everyone. On behalf of Bharati Vidyapeeth's Institute of Management Studies and Research, I, Dr. Uma Durgude, take this opportunity to welcome participants for this most talk about an important subject for researchers, academicians, writers, and publications alike on the topic the ways to find deterrent against research plagiarism. On this occasion, I'd like to welcome our Regional Director, Dr. Vilasrao Kadam sir, and Dr. Anjali Kalse Madam, in charge Director of BVIMSR. The topic of plagiarism is never far away from a writer and an editor's mind. Plagiarism undermines the whole of publishing. It increases the reviewing burden on researchers and dilutes the quality of information available in an increasing ocean of research literature. And reputed journals as reliable curators of systematic, logical, recent, and an innovative knowledge. Editors are always guided by the codes of conduct and best practice developed by the Committee on Publication Ethics. Journals and publications have different policies for dealing with plagiarized work. Now we have privilege to spot plagiarism before publication at every juncture before its publication. I request Dr. Anjali Madam for her speech on the occasion. Welcome, Madam.
Thank you, Uma Madam. Very good morning. And on behalf of Bharati Vidyapeeth Institute of Management Studies and Research, I would like to welcome Adnan Chaudhary sir, researchers and esteemed faculty members for this wonderful webinar on plagiarism. I think this the particular domain of research is now being very, very important in education. And it's true also, the more and more emphasis is being given on research. As we all know, without research and without adding value, we cannot walk into class because everybody is knowledgeable. Nowadays, there is a Google, there are various sources of information students get from various through internet, through a library, and there are various softwares which load them with lots of information. So we also should update ourselves for teaching these knowledgeable students and add value to them. So considering all this, the research is very, very important. But then there are certain obstacles in this research. Many a time it so happens that researchers are new. They, for many faculty, they join new, they want to do research, but there are certain obstacles in come in their way, wherein even the students, when they prepare the project, there are certain things which come repeatedly and they are unable to find and that what is that, how this is plagiarism is coming 10%, 15%, 20%. But here there we are trying to create awareness that how this tool can be used, how we are trying to make every researcher aware that this tool is available, because many are not aware. Those are, although they are in teaching profession, but those who are comparatively new and they don't have that research background, they are not very well aware. Some faculties, yes, they are aware, but we want that all students fraternity also should know, research scholar should know more about it, and they should get that practical exposure with this tool. So with this objective only, we thought of doing one, because I've seen many institutes, they conduct this kind of a webinar on the research methodology, but we never came across up till now such kind of a webinar wherein the practical exposure will be given to the students and the faculty members, wherein they will make them aware about this Turnitin and the overall how this plagiarism can be minimized. So there are various factors, various things can be considered, and accordingly you can make your research most acceptable, and you can minimize the percentage which comes to normally 15. I think now 10% is acceptable, below 10% is acceptable for a PhD and even in a good research journal. So I think this particular program is going to help everyone with this respect, and there will be much more takeaways from this research webinar. So I wish all the best to the organizing team, and it's over to you. Thank you very much and all the best. I hope everyone is safe and following all the norms in this COVID situation. So wish you all the best, and I'm very sure that there will be takeaways from this research workshop. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, madam. Thank you for your speech, ma'am. You are aware that every new and revised manuscript sent to the journal is checked automatically by various software to check and assign a similarity score. Given as a percentage of how much of the text in the submission overlaps with previously published text from journals, web pages, and other content items, I am hopeful that many academic users are aware about the coordination of Turnitin in reducing the problem of plagiarism. The solution to this problem is not apparent. The rise in the use of plagiarism detection software has led to an arms race with new manual and automated methods to defeat the software. Thus, the need is to how to safeguard and maintain reputation as a steward of high quality original research. Today, we have with us Mr. Adnan Chaudhary as our speaker, who will provide valuable insight and information on this problem and make us aware about Turnitin. Mr. Adnan Chaudhary is a technology consultant in higher education for West India, representing the market leader in edtech industry, Turnitin. He holds a global experience in the US and Indian markets for driving technology based consultations and enabling automation in the corporate and education sector. His consultation revolves around similarity check, grading, and protracting solutions offered by Turnitin. Before we move further, let me acquaint you to the flow. After the speech of our eminent speaker, we will be having a Q&A session. Participants can post their questions in the chat box, which will be taken care by the moderator. The session will culminate with summarization and vote of thanks delivered by Dr. Vijay Bidnoor sir. Certificates will be issued to all the participants who will attend and fill the feedback form. Welcome, Mr. Adnan sir. We are honored to have you for today's session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for inviting me out there. Before we actually jump into the discussion, I would request everyone to be on mute so that there's no amount of disturbance, and we can proceed ahead later with the Q&A session. So just to start, I would like to give a small intro of myself, though ma'am has already introduced me. So I take care of technology consultation here in West India, and today what we are going to cover is we are going to cover a small presentation which will give you some general information about Turnitin as a solution, and we'll directly jump on to the product and we'll try to understand how you can use it in order to protect the integrity of your institution and even on an individual manner. And later than that, we can then go ahead with the Q&A session. So just allow me a moment so that I can share my screen. All right. I hope the screen is visible. If someone can just give me a go ahead that it's visible.
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Great, great. All right. So we are going to cover a short presentation, and post that we are going to jump on the product demonstration today. So what I'm going to technically cover is about uh, the entire working of the solution, and how we can probably go ahead understanding the norms of plagiarism, and how the technology works in general.
Excuse me, is it possible to keep the spotlight on the speaker or the slides? Right now, the spotlight is on someone else.
I hope you guys can see my screen, the presentation.
Yes, sir.
Great, great. All right. So a brief about Turnitin. So Turnitin is a SaaS-based software organization. We are considered to be global leaders in this particular space. It's been 21 years we are out there in the market, assisting the edtech industry, and specifically, we are considered to be leaders in the similarity check solution, also known as the plagiarism check software tool. So what Turnitin similarity helps you with? Turnitin similarity majorly helps institutions in safeguarding their reputation because they can control the research work that the institution is doing, and they can be well informed and aware about their research work, and because they can consider that to be authenticate using Turnitin. It helps in unparalleled matching with respect to the coverage that we have at the back end, and I'm going to go deep dive in that on a later slide. It also helps exposing text manipulations if there are any within a research paper or thesis, and Turnitin application can also seamlessly integrate with any LMS systems which are out there, which institutions use, like Moodle or Colpol, etc. So discover similarity to known works. So how a plagiarism software technology works? So basically, there is a front end and there is a back end. Now, at the front end, the user, which can be a PhD student, a research scholar, or a professor, they make submissions in the form of assignments, in the form of research papers, in the form of theses, in the form of dissertations. And at the back end, the software has a huge coverage of data in the form of various repositories. Now, under these repositories, the software has stored a lot of amount of data from the internet, from the publications work, from the previously submitted students' work. And what the software merely does is it matches the front end with the back end to find out the similarity score of the submitted work. So basically, to sum it up, the larger the amount of data at the back end, or the more the amount of coverage at the back end, the more the accurate would be the similarity report for any particular application. I would just like to show you one slide so that you can understand it much better. So if you can see on the screen, this is the Turnitin database at the back end of the software. So you can see more than 1.4 billion global student paper database. So this database basically includes all students across the world who are basically writing their papers, making submissions willingly in the Turnitin application in order to safeguard their particular paper. We have an Internet Archive data which is close to 71 billion plus. This means from the past 21 years, we have been saving most of the URLs or websites and been crawling that particular data and saving it at the back end so that all the internet related sources can be identified when the paper is submitted by a user. And we have the last repository or category, which you can see is the premium scholarly publications. This means all the publications work, which is more than 82 million subscription articles, 47,000 plus subscription journals. These are all saved at the back end in the digital format so that the sources can be identified directly from the primary source. Also, Turnitin application, as an application, there is an official membership with Crossref, which is a community of 1,500 publishers who regularly use the same software for the purpose of publishing any particular data. So this further basically gives you a good amount of coverage at the back end. And as I mentioned, the larger the coverage, the more accurate would be a similarity report of a particular application. Yeah, now before, if you guys are having a question with respect to how such kind of coverage is possible, so what the application does is the company has its own web crawler. Now a web crawler is basically something like it's like a spider. So it crawls all the websites which are available in the on the internet, and after crawling, it indexes all the URLs, all the texts And once it indexes, it saves it in the form of a digital file at the backend on the cloud, so that we can have a good amount of coverage. And that's how we have been crawling this much amount of data, which you can see on the screen. So, for example, when it's written 22 million new pages added on a daily basis, this means the speed of the crawler is to add close to 22 million new pages, and we add up to 22 million new pages on a daily basis for the purpose of expanding our internet repository. So I hope this is clear with respect to the discovery of similarity works, how the entire technology from the front end and the back end works. Turnitin application also helps you in finding out a manipulated text. So what happens is, a lot of times, since it's been 21 years, people have been using Turnitin. Uh, More than 15,000 institutions on across the globe use the application for similarity check. So a lot of people, a lot of students have started to come up with a lot of hacks in order to get through the similarity solution, so that they can probably get through the solution, and they get a very low similarity score. In fact, on YouTube, if you search, there are various tutorials people have made to get through the Turnitin application if they have a higher similarity. So what they do is, they basically, after every word which you can see on the screen, they'll probably enter an extra alphabet or a special character, and they will cover that with a white JPEG image, so that the web crawler, or basically the crawler, is not able to crawl, or not able to match, the front end is not able to match the back end, because of the special characters which are there in between, which are covered in JPEG images. And that's why the similarity score turns out to be comparatively low in cases which we have seen previously. But what Turnitin also helps in identifying is any word which is being covered with a JPEG image, and it immediately raises a flag that there are hidden texts on a particular article, so that the right similarity score for that particular article can be identified, can be found. And as I mentioned, that we can integrate seamlessly with any LMS systems. So a lot of institutions have their own in-house LMS systems. So Turnitin as an application can easily seamlessly integrate with their LMS systems using LTI integration. Now, what makes the application very accurate? First thing, the comprehensive coverage of data, which I already told you about, a very vast coverage of data at the back end to give you the accurate report. The solution is very easy to use. The solution is reliable, and 99.9% is the uptime of the solution, since it's a SaaS-based solution. So this basically makes it very intuitive for users to use it. Also, Turnitin as an application is completely secure, completely private. It is GDPR and SOC2 compliant, so that no user is basically
चिराग
concerned about.
एक क्वेश्चन के लिए 1000 बार प्लीज कैन आई प्लीज 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 प्लीज
Okay, I think there's.
I
Yeah.
request to the participant, please keep yourself mute.
All right, no problem. I think it happens, challenges of online virtual work. Anyway, so yes, we were on the slide which basically talks about people who probably might have concerns with respect to the security of the application, because they submit important research work within the application. So just to give you some brief info, we are GDPR and SOC2 compliant. Turnitin as an application is secure and private. There are local cloud data centers which are available across the globe. So any user can be completely fine, or can completely be, should not worry about the security of any form of paper which he or she is submitting on the application. So yeah, that's about it regarding the presentation. Now, what we'll do is we'll directly jump on to the Turnitin application, and we'll do a live submission of a demo paper, and we'll see how the solution works and how do we incorporate all the features that, or probably all the value adds that I just spoke to you about. All right. So let me just sign out and sign in again for you. Okay, so this is the signing page of Turnitin application, as you can see on my screen right now. So it's a SaaS-based software solution. So the software has completely been built by our in-house team. And after building the software, we have saved the software on cloud at the backend so that it can be available all across the globe. And the pricing for the software is basically on the basis of annual subscription in order to avail the software as a service. So you can sign in from anywhere across the globe. You need your valid username and your password, pretty much how you do it on other, how you use other software as a service, or how you probably use other operating systems with respect to your day-to-day work. So what I'm going to do now is basically I'm going to sign in and show you how the application works. Great. So as soon as you sign in, this is the landing page which you can see on the screen right now. Now this landing page is basically gives you some pretty good information about Turnitin Similarity and how to launch the software from this particular tab, which you can see on the screen. It also gives you an option to manage integrations if you have integrated Turnitin software with any LMS system or probably Microsoft Teams as well, because it can be integrated with Teams as well. And on the left, you can see a lot of options with respect to the home page, the users tab, settings, and and so on. So let's touch base upon these particular tabs, as well as we'll make a live submission and talk about that as well. So this is pretty much the landing page. It's a very intuitive and very interactive page that you can see on the screen right now, and built pretty much for users, specifically considering their student nature as well as related to R&D. So the second tab, which is the users tab, will basically enable the admin to add various users who are going to use this particular software. Now you can see my name here, and there is an admin tab which you can see on the screen. Now admins are basically admins of any institution. The admin can be the librarian, the admin can be the chief librarian, the admin can be the director research and development of the institute, the admin can be the dean research and development of the institute, any specific personnel of the institute who has major control over research and development activities or over the submission activity of any particular institute. So that particular personnel can be the admin representing that particular institute, and that admin will have the sole power to add users. So the admin will be adding faculty members who wants to use the application. The admin will be adding students who wants to use the application, so on and so forth. And it's a very easy process to add users. You just need to click on add user tab, and after adding the user tab, you just need to basically put basic information of the user, first name, last name, and an email address, and an email invitation will directly go to that particular user so that the user can onboard himself or herself on the application. Also, the admin can upload a list. So there is a list option as well. If the admin probably wants to, assign 1,000 students as users, or if the admin wants to assign 500 faculties as users, so the admin can directly make an Excel sheet in the form of first name, last name, email address, and the Excel sheet can be directly uploaded on the application by clicking on the upload list option, and automatically all the 500 or 1000 prospective users who are going to use the application, they will receive an email invitation on their email, and they can onboard themselves on the Turnitin application. Also, Turnitin application is well integrated with Gmail, so you can log in via your Gmail accounts as well. I'll touch on settings after we cover the tabs which are below. Now there's a tab for integration. Integration tab is basically, as I mentioned to you, this is in regards to integration with the LMS systems, and this is in regards to integration with Microsoft Teams, so on and so forth. There is a tab for statistics. Now, what the statistics do is statistics basically gives admin a lot of background analytics as to what's really happening and how the solution is being used and adopted within a particular institute. So under the statistics tab, the dean R&D, the director R&D, or the chief librarian of an institute can see what kind of submissions are happening on a monthly basis or on a weekly basis within his or her institute. He or she can also check the usage activity of the application as to how many total or active users are using the application on a monthly basis within a particular institute. The admin can also go ahead and see the similarity reports as to what are the highest similarity reports that are being generated on a monthly basis within their particular institute. So this will basically give you or the admin a bird's eye view as to what's really happening with the institute with respect to usage of the application, and is it really adding value, or is the similarity score coming down after every use, or how exactly is it working for them. The second last tab talks about licenses. Licenses is basically the number of licenses which have been subscribed by an institute. For example, on the screen, since this is a demo account, it shows that 51 out of 50 seats are used. As the demo account is just with 50 licenses. However, an institute probably has 500,000, 1,500 licenses. So this will show you the utilization out of those 500,000 or 1,500 licenses. The last tab talks about paper lookup option. Now, paper lookup option is basically, for example, if a professor within a particular institute wants to search quickly a particular paper of a student within a particular class, he can just come to the paper lookup option and he can enter the first name and the last name of the student and perform the search option, and he'll able to basically see all the previous submissions which have been made by that particular student with respect to his or her research papers or with respect to his or her assignments, and what was the similarity score of those particular submissions. Now, since we have pretty much covered all the options, I would like to go to the option of settings, which we have left before. So settings will first give you an option to change the language from here, from this particular option, if you want to, or if you would like to change the language. And the settings can also give you some various other options with respect to search repositories. So these are the various search repositories which are used. As I mentioned before, search repositories are nothing but this particular slide which we spoke about, the student paper database, internet data, and the publications data. So this will show you which are the search repositories which are active on the screen, which you can see. Now there's an option for submission indexing, which I want to talk to you about. Submission indexing is this option should always be kept on. Don't index any submissions if you are using the application. Submission indexing is basically for those researchers who have finalized with their research work and now they are due publication probably next month or next week, and they want to index all the submissions, which is the first tab. Once they click on index on the submission and then make a submission, the paper will get deposited in the Turnitin repository, and that deposited paper will start getting reflected here in this count, which is Global Student Paper Database. So the option basically gives willingness for the researcher to willingly submit the paper in the Turnitin repository in order to safeguard the same. So if any particular researcher wants to do that, they can click on the first tab, which is index all the submissions, and then make a submission. Otherwise, if you don't want to submit the paper in Turnitin repository, just keep the setting to don't index any submissions, and it will never be submitted in the Turnitin repository. Rest, it also gives you an option to create your private repository. I want to talk about this as well. Now, private repository is basically any institution. For example, Bharati Vidyapeeth tomorrow wants to come up with their own private repository. For example, Bharati Vidyapeeth wants to come up with their own group of institutes, and they want to make their own private repository so that they can also find out if there are any similarity sources of two students checking within the same institute or copying within the same institute. If they want to do something like that, they can go ahead and opt for a private repository. Under private repository, what happens is we basically allot you a particular amount of cloud space so that that particular cloud space can be utilized by your institution in the form of private repository, and all the submission work that we will probably receive from your institution or group of institutes will can be saved on that particular cloud space so that you can find out if there is copying that's happening within your group of institutes or within any particular institute, for example the management institute, engineering institute, etc., etc. So we have pretty much covered the important part of settings and the other tabs which you can see on the screen. Now what we'll do is I'll quickly go to the home page and we'll make a live submission so that we can see what are the various sources that are coming up. So you need to click on the launch button. As soon as you click on the launch button, a new tab will open up, and you'll see the settings of upload wherein a user can directly upload any particular research paper or assignment. You'll also see an option of adding the folder. Now adding folder basically is what? So faculties can come up on the application and they can add folder subject wise. For example, management faculties can come out on the application and they can go on adding folders as compared to whatever subjects they are teaching, principles of management, operations management. Okay, so they can go ahead and add various folders. The faculty can add folders as per their subjects so that the students who they are teaching with respect to any subject can directly make a submission within that particular folder. So just to give you an example how this folder category works, for example, consider me as a faculty who is going to teach you logistics management in your management class. So I'm going to teach you logistics. So I'll quickly as a faculty, I'll go to add folder. I'll create a folder for the logistics class and I'll click on the button add. And as soon as I create this particular folder, what I can do is I can basically tell all the classmates who are based in the logistics class to make specific submission of logistics related research papers or assignment in this particular folder. This is what I as a faculty can do. And within
No, your
this
screen is
particular
not shared.
Okay, one second. All right. Did you see this coverage when I spoke to you about this particular screen?
No, sir. You need to show it from start.
Oh, no. Okay. The presentation, did you see the entire presentation?
Yes, sir. Just now, when you started adding the class, that is part is missed.
Started adding the class.
Just now, what you started. Thank you slide that we have seen.
Okay.
Sir, from launching you will have to start.
From launching? From launching, I have to start. Okay. Okay. Good. Okay. It's visible right now, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You have seen all these tabs, right? The users tab, the settings tab,
Yes,
the
yes, sir.
statistics tab. Great.
Yes,
Great.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So let's click on the launch button and let's make a live submission. Once you click on the launch button, there's a new tab that will open up. You can see the new tab. The new tab is visible, right?
Yes, sir.
Great, great. So once the new tab is open, you'll see an option to upload wherein the users can directly upload any form of research paper. The users can directly upload any form of thesis or dissertations, etc. There's also an option to add folder. Now, this adding folder is basically for faculties who are teaching any specific subject. For example, I've just added a folder for you guys. So any faculty who's teaching probably logistics, principles of management, etc., etc., they can come up with various folders so that students can accordingly make submissions within those particular folders, and accordingly similarity check can be performed within those particular folders. So right now what we'll do is let's take a classic example that I am a student here, or I'm probably a research student here, and I'm going to make a live submission to see the similarity of that particular document. So I'll click on upload as an option. As soon as I click on upload, I'll go ahead to select the files. And once I go ahead to select the files, it will basically, what we'll do is we'll now submit a demo paper and see how the entire uh, plagiarism check is performed. So this paper talks about the pandemic and its impacts. What we're going to do is we'll just make it a test paper right now. I have to put in the author's name, which is me myself for the time being. And after putting all this information, I have to click on confirm. All right, I would request everyone to be on mute so that there's no disturbance for people who are trying to grasp.
Yes, sir. You are rightly said. So can we get the recorded session because we can't graph the so many things together? Is it fine?
Yeah, you can. I think this session is already being recorded, right?
Recorded, yeah. But can we get from the organizer? Is it fine?
Yeah, yeah, I think the institute can help you with that particular
Okay. Thank you, sir.
recording. Great, great. So I've just uploaded the demo paper, which you can see on the screen right now. The pandemic and its impacts. I just uploaded it, and the similarity has been processed for that particular paper, and is showing to be 100% as a similarity score. So let's just open this particular paper and see how the similarity has been turned up to be. So you need to click on this 100 percentage. And once you click on the 100 percentage, a new tab will open up, as you can see on the screen. On the left is the paper that I uploaded, which is the pandemic and its impact, and the content which is available on this particular paper that you can see on the screen. On the right, you can see the similarity score of the particular paper and the sources. Now, sources on Turnitin. Now, what are sources? Sources are basically nothing but from where you have copied or from where you have picked up the data. Now, sources are classified into three important sections, which is primary sources, secondary sources, and tertiary sources. Just to give you an example, for example, for example, if I as a student I have copied from any publications work or from any particular book or novel, that will show up as a submitted work on the sources, which becomes a primary source. that I have copied from that particular book. Now, if that same information is also available on the internet, then that becomes a secondary source. The internet becomes the secondary source for that same information, and the book from where the information has been copied becomes a primary source for that particular information. Now, if someone has taken the same information from the internet and has probably shared it on Facebook or probably shared it on Instagram, then that social media website becomes the tertiary source of information. That particular information has come up from the book, then it passed on to the internet on a particular website, and then from that it has come to a social media website or any other website. So it becomes a tertiary source. So these are the various three sources that will show up as well while making a submission on the Turnitin application. So this is the primary source that you can see on the screen. The primary source says that 100% of the data is being copied from a submitted work. So this particular data has been copied 100% from a submitted work which was already been submitted in the university named De La Salle University. I think it's based out of Europe. So someone has already submitted this work before in a Europe-based university, and 100% of that has been copied from that particular university. Now, once you go to this drop-down menu of sources overview, it will give you a option of all sources. When you click on all sources, you get to see not just the primary source but also the secondary sources and also the tertiary sources from where the data has been picked up. So here you can see that 100% of the work has was being copied from this particular university. Then the same work is also available on the internet, which is researchgate .net publication. Sorry. All right. So you can also see on the second, this was the primary source, which is the first source, and these are all the secondary and tertiary sources which you can see on the screen. So you can see that the same data is also available on the website, which is ResearchGate. So it will show you the internet source from where the data has been copied. It will show you the submitted source from if it has been copied in, it has been submitted in any particular university or no, and it will show you all the websites where the data has been available and from where it has been taken up. So you can see that it's showing that it has been copied from the various websites which you can see on the screen. And moving forward, it will also show you in which colleges it has been submitted previously, in which all, if there's any community college which it was been submitted before, if there is any institute of research which the data has been submitted before, and what was the percentage of submission over there,
Excuse me,
how
sir.
much yeah.
Uh, is there any color difference? Is there another meaning of these colors, different colors?
No, no, no. There's no meaning of these different colors. That is for people suffering from color blindness. That's why we have given that particular this. There's no meaning. It's just that those particular tabs or those particular words are available on the this
Is it
on the
30%
data.
showing green color, 13% on red color? So is
No,
there
no,
any
no.
other meaning?
There's no meaning. It's just for
Oh,
people who are colorblind. We have just
okay.
gave them color. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
No problem. So it will show you where all it has been submitted, in which universities it has been submitted before, and what was the percentage of content which you have submitted was being used in that particular university. So it will show you a complete similarity report with respect to any submission that has happened in publications work, any submission that has happened on the internet, and any submission that has happened in any university, college, institute of research, etc., etc. So once you go on moving forward, it will show you even the matches which are below 1% that has been picked up on this particular application. So this is what I was talking to you about regarding the coverage. Turnitin as an application gives you complete visibility because the vast amount of coverage that we have at the back end. And obviously, now as per the UGC norms, these small sources you can directly exclude it from the application itself because UGC gives that much amount of leeway wherein you can remove any small source which is 14 words or less. Now, within the application itself, here you have seen all the sources which will show up that from where you have copied. And within the application itself, what you can do is you can remove the bibliographic material, you can remove the quoted material, you can remove all the cited material, and you can remove all the small matches, which is 14 words or less directly from the application itself. There is no need to come up with two different files. The application will automatically remove your bibliography. The application will automatically exclude the quoted material if you have quoted or cited any particular material because quoting or citing is not included or considered to be as a part of plagiarism. So if you have quoted or cited anything on the particular document, that will automatically be removed through the application itself. And you can also remove small matches which are 14 words or less in one particular form. 14 words or less means probably less than 2% matches, less than 3% matches, less than 4% matches, matches which are not considered to be exact plagiarism because those are general words which everyone would probably use that can be easily removed from the application itself. And after clicking done, that can be removed from the application and this will
Sir,
show.
screen is not visible.
One sec. I don't know why it's happening again and again.
Adnan, it was visible and then it went away.
All right, no problem.
Just 15, 20 seconds ago, it went away.
Okay.
Adnan, I have a question right now about these bibliography and quotes. Can I ask?
Yeah, please go.
So as per UGC, when we do a research paper plagiarism check, so we should choose the exclude bibliography option, right?
Yes.
And should we take a less than 5 words or less than 8 words as per UGC?
Less than 14 words is acceptable. You can take 4, 8, 10, anything which is less than 14.
Okay.
So I think it's visible right now.
Yes.
All right. So we were talking about excluding bibliography, quoted material, cited material, small matches. You can do it directly from the application. Click on the button done, and you will see that the similarity score has changed from 100% previously to 52% because you have removed the bibliography, quoted and cited material which was available in the document. Also, what happens is in a lot of cases, there are authors who have their own websites. So sometimes what happens is they try to basically incorporate some research references from their own websites in the particular document or submitted work, and that pops up as a similarity score and it's considered to be self-plagiarism. So the author can probably go ahead and remove that particular website directly from the sources as well if the author wants to remove. For example, consider this cross-ref source, which is source number 67. Just consider, or probably source number 68. Just consider this to be my personal website, and there is 2% of similarity percentage which is showing up from my personal website because I have taken certain amount of reference research work from my personal website, and now this is falling under self plagiarism. So if I want to probably remove this particular source, I have to directly click on this button which says exclude, and after I click on this button, this source will get excluded from the all sources tab, and it will pop up here which is one similarity exclusion. Now, similarly, if I want to restore that source back again, I can click on that particular source and click on this button, which is include, and that source will automatically get restored as well. Now, every changes that you are making with respect to excluding any similar source or with respect to excluding bibliography or quoted or cited material, this will show up on the final report that you have excluded one particular source, you have excluded bibliography, you have excluded quoted or cited material, so that when you are making the final submission to the regulatory authority, to the publication work, they have complete visibility on what all sources you have excluded, and they can get the opportunity to even get clarification if they want to know about the reason for excluding a particular source or about any particular reasoning they need. So this was all about the sources and the submission. Now I want to talk about one more other feature, which is about flags, which you can see on the screen at the top. Once you click on the flags option, what the flags does is it basically shows you the hidden text, which we spoke about on the slide when we were talking about. So what a lot of students do is they basically cover up words by using special characters in between so that the application is not able to crawl it and match it with the backend. So they basically cover up with white JPEG images, also called as white spaces, so that their similarity score can come to 2%, 1%, even 0% in some cases, and their paper is accepted. But what Flags does is after clicking on the Flags tab, it will basically show you if there are any hidden texts which are available on the particular paper, which you'll get information about. So as you can see on the screen, there are certain hidden texts which are available. If I zoom in, this red tab which you can see, which is 11. So this was a hidden text which was being used, which was covered by a JPEG image, so that the crawler can break, with respect to the chaining, and the similarity match is, hindered. So in such cases, it will pop up with respect to the flags, and it will show up as to what are the various hidden texts and how many hidden texts are available. For example, 11 suspected characters on this 9-pager document, or 9 pages out of the 11-pager document that you can see on the screen right now. So this is how the flag system or the hidden text system works on the Turnitin application. Any particular questions on the flags or on the similarity?
Hello, sir. If you can repeat this flag system.
All right, sure. So, all right, I'll show you the slide that gives you more better understanding. Can you see my PowerPoint slide?
Yes, we can see.
Yes, sir.
Great. I'll just zoom in. Okay, so if you can see on the screen, right, the flags, so the words that you can see on the screen, these are hidden text which people use it between the words. So for example, if the word is special, so they will probably write SPECIAL, and they'll put an extra E after L, or they'll put a special character after L, such as the percentage or an exclamation mark. And what they'll do is they'll cover that with a white JPEG image. Okay. Now, what happens once you do this? Once you put any special character or extra word and cover that with a white JPEG image, the faculty or the person who is reviewing your paper, he or she won't come to know, right, that you have put in special characters because it is covered with a white JPEG image. And at the back end, when the Turnitin application will crawl, it will crawl the word as special, SPECIALE, because it is not crawling the JPEG image. And then it won't be able to find out the similarity or the source for that particular line or for that particular para, because you'll be having so many special characters after each word. And in that manner, it won't be able to show you the source, because how the source is matched, as I explained at the beginning of the presentation, it matches via text. If there is one line, special character, it will match at the back end with special character only. It can't have a different match, right? So in that case, the similarity score will be considerably low, and that's how people try to go through the Turnitin application, so that if they were, if they have copied, they can be saved. But through the flags as a feature, any hidden words will be easily available, just as how we saw here that there was a hidden word below on this 11, which you can see in red, but you won't be able to see unless and until you click on this flag, right? If I've unclicked, you can't see the word right now, but once you click on the flag, it will immediately pop up. I hope it's clear, or do you want me to explain it again?
Okay, sir.
Sir, it means it's not plagiarized thing, but it is helpful for for the purpose of reviewing only. So it means
No, it's helpful for people who try to escape plagiarism, because
oh,
they will be putting in a lot of special characters and lot of extra characters after each word, and they'll go on covering it with white JPEG images, so that the application is not able to crawl and probably show you the right similarity score. But through the application, through Turnitin application, if someone has tried to do that, it will be immediately raised under this flags, and then the faculty can take the appropriate action that he or she wants to take.
okay, sir. Thank you.
All right, so this was pretty much it about Turnitin as an application, how it can be used, how the faculties can use it. One last thing I wanted to tell you, under the folders tab, which you can see on the screen, the faculties can come up with various folders. And once they come up with various folders, an automatic link is generated for that particular folder. So the faculty can share that link with various students, and the students can directly make submissions of their assignments or their research papers by clicking on their link via their mobile phones as well. So yeah, this was pretty much it about Turnitin as an application, how it can be used, what are the various sources, more about flags, more about exclusions. Once everything is done, you can go ahead and click on this button, which is the print button. And once you click on the print button, you can print this particular report, and you can send it anywhere, wherever you want to send it for the purpose of acceptance. And you can see on the report, it shows you what all you have excluded, what all you have not excluded, so that the reviewer can get the opportunity to ask for justification if there is any. And you can also download the file from this particular tab, and you can save it in the PDF format for the purpose of electronic, if you want to send it electronically via email to anyone. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I think I'm open for any form of questions that anyone has, so that we can address it.
Adnan, I have a question. So,
Yeah.
since you've said that we can exclude references, quotes, citations, etc. So, in future, when we give our research paper for plagiarism check, we need to give the paper in entirety. I need not remove the bibliography and then give it, right?
No, you can remove the bibliography, cited and quoted material, because that doesn't comes under plagiarism. So you can remove it and you can send it to them.
Okay, okay. And so in our final report that comes, won't it be seen that we have removed the bibliography and the citations? So will
Yes,
that be
yes.
acceptable?
Sorry, would that be?
I said, would that be acceptable? That we have already removed bibliography, citations, and then we are doing the plagiarism check.
Yes, why wouldn't be acceptable? It would
Okay,
be,
okay.
it
I
would
thought that
definitely be acceptable.
I thought the thesis or the paper has to be checked in entirety. You know, I was under that assumption. Okay.
See, this bibliography, quoted material, cited material doesn't fall under plagiarism, okay? But it depends on publications to publication. Probably someone would have, their own individual policy of checking the paper on entirety. So you can always confirm with them once as to how they want it. Do they, will they accept it by excluding the bibliography and quoted content, or would they be fine with it? If they are fine with it, you can exclude it on your behalf and send it to them. If they're probably not fine with it, you can just do it
Okay.
by including everything.
Okay.
It can be
Adnan,
subjective.
yeah, Adnan, one last question. There is
Yeah,
some system of no repository. So somebody told me that you should always check your reports, under no repository. So,
exactly. Yeah. So it
okay,
is the same system which I showed you here in the settings tab. Once you
okay.
go, you can see my screen, right?
Yes, yes.
Now under the settings tab, submission indexing is nothing but the repository, no repository part which I was talking to you about. So it says don't index any submissions. It means don't index any submissions means don't save any data. This means no repository only. That your data is going in and it's not going in any repository of Turnitin. But if you want to save it in the repository of Turnitin to safeguard your paper, because
Hmm.
what people do is they save it and turn it in repository so that no one is able to copy that particular data
Hmm.
anywhere in the near future. And even if someone does it, it will obviously show up as a source, right? So their
Hmm.
paper is safeguarded. So if you want to do that, you can click on index all submissions. Index all submissions means that you have saved it in the repository. So no repository is nothing but submission indexing.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
No problem. Any more questions?
Yeah, hello Anand.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm Dr. Smitara Sheikh here. I just would like to, first of all, it was very knowledgeable session and many doubts
Thank
I
you.
have got cleared through your sessions.
Thank
I'm
you.
having one question. If, as an individual, if I would like to avail your services, then what I supposed to do?
So as an individual, if you want to use Turnitin application, so Turnitin has one more application which is Turnitin Authenticate. If you guys have heard of Authenticate as a software, that is also a Turnitin application. And Authenticate is a software. Now the similarity report for both Turnitin and Authenticate is almost the same. So what you can do is Authenticate, we have made it available to individuals for their individual use. So you can go to Authenticate website, as you can see on my screen,
Mm-hmm.
authenticate.com.
Mm-hmm.
Just one second. I think there's some issue with the website.
Connectivity.
Yeah, let me just search it here. Okay, yeah. So you can go on authenticate.com and you can go to the option of buy credits. Once you go to the option of buy credits, you can buy individual credits from this particular tab, and individuals can use the Authenticate as an application as well. So we have made Authenticate available for the purpose of individual use, and Turnitin is mostly been available for institutional use. Now the difference between Authenticate and Turnitin is just that Authenticate has a different look and feel. That's it. So I'll just show Authenticate as well. Once you just click on the tab which is Authenticate. So I'm just logging in Authenticate so that to show you how it looks. So yes, I've just logged in. So you can see that look and feel of the product is different. Otherwise, once you open any particular similarity, the sources and everything would come to be the same for both the documents. So I've just opened this particular, this is a different document though, but I'm just showing it to you just for the sake of how it looks like. So you can see the look and feel of both the products are different. But you can do exactly the same things as you can do it on Turnitin. You can exclude the sources, you can exclude the bibliography, you can exclude the quoted material, you can exclude any small sources, etc., etc. Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Sir, can we have your contact numbers or email ID?
Yes,
Will you
yes,
please
sure,
share
sure.
in the chat box?
So
In
my
case of
contact number, yeah, my contact number is, let me just give you my office number. Wait. My office number is 844-87-69413. I'll just type it here.
once again, I'm repeating. 844-87-694.
844-87-69413.
413.
3.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
This is my contact number, and regarding my email address is also simple. It's achaudhary, CHOUDHARY @turnitin.com. Any more questions?
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I'll definitely get back to you in future.
No problem, no problem. Any more questions? Anyone has any more questions?
No question, sir.
Okay.
Hi, thank you, sir. I hope maximum doubts have been cleared till now. If anyone is having any question, please be free to ask.
It is like, ma'am, we have learned now how to use the software, but we have not used it. So there is no such like no study, no doubt like situation. So no question from my end.
Adnan, I have one more question.
Sure.
So when we are submitting our plagiarism report, okay, to somewhere that this is what I have done, so it is going to give us always a very detailed report. Is it not possible to get 1 page, 2 page crisp report which just says, okay, this is a similarity index, rather than giving source by source, classification?
No, I think a detailed report is necessary because that's what they're going to accept as well.
Okay.
Hi Adnan, it was nice lecture, a very introduction for many of us who have not used Turnitin. I wanted to ask you, while working on the research papers, if it is introduction and the background or review of literature, and if it is result and discussion, do you have kind of combined everything, similarities checked, or it has to be ideally chapter wise, or it has to be a content wise?
No, so the indexing is performed on the complete document.
Okay, and how
Starting
about the
from
dissertation? Has to be also checked for the introduction. Review of literature is so much into the tertiary and secondary sources mentioned, whereas result discussion and methods is different. So, it again overall only checked it, or do you have a kind of ideal percentage for some chapters to be indexed?
No, it will check overall only, ma'am. Entire thing.
Okay, and do you have ideal scores for the best for the thesis purpose, for the research paper, if it's original paper, or it is a review point, or it is a
Any similarity,
meta-analysis?
yeah, any similarity score which is less than 10% is considered to be a good score, an ideal score. It's considered to be well acceptable, and it's considered to be original.
So 10% for each thesis,
10% or less for
less
each
than 10,
manuscript.
each manuscript, and be it a systematic review that also has to be 10% only?
10% or less overall I'm talking about.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
Any other question?
Yeah.
Yes,
Hello.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Please go.
Once the paper has been checked through Turnitin, suppose some kind of a plagiarism comes over there, and again the person modifies the document and again submits it to Turnitin for checking plagiarism. So in that case, how the things like how that particular paper will be checked, because already the paper is in the database, right?
No, ma'am. So it's not in the database, right? As I showed you on the screen as well, the author has to allow it to submit it in the database. If the author has not clicked on allow indexing, which is submitting in the database, it won't go in the database. So you can continuously go on making submissions, resubmissions, as many as you want in order to get a lower similarity score. Go on editing, go on making resubmissions, and your similarity score will come down. And when your final paper is ready, and if you are willingly want to submit or deposit that particular paper in the Turnitin repository, only then you again go to the settings option, click on allow indexing, which is basically submitting the data paper in the database, and only then it will be submitted.
Hello.
And then after that you will check, then you will get a 100% similarity score.
Hello. So can we at the end can we get the certificate that the things is plagiarized, and what is the percentage? Like it is.
Oh, there's no certificate. There's report which I showed you. There's no
Like in
certificate.
object like what we have now, ORCID, that in that what we do plagiarism, and we get one PDF in that it's mentioned that okay, below 10 is a persons can go ahead, that is a plagiarism. So is that any percentage that this percentage that is less plagiarism?
No, so this is the percentage, right? Which you can see on the screen. This is the report. 52% is.
Yes.
Yeah, this is how it looks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know the thing is not visible, sir. Okay. Okay.
It's visible.
So this is the
right
52%. Not the, yeah, not
Yeah.
visible. 52% means you have to modify.
Yes, definitely. You have to.
So which is the percentage that okay, it is there is no plagiarism and we can go ahead?
Below 10.
Below 10. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Any more questions?
Good afternoon, sir. Your session is very nice. I am Dr. S. Chandramani from Hyderabad.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Just I would like to know, as an individual research person, so if I want to purchase the Turnitin software as per my individual purposes, okay. So what is the rate and how I can get it that licensed copy software? What will be the price?
I think we have already addressed this point, right?
Actually, because of the internet, I am not able to. There is a disruption up for 5 minutes actually. So again, I am asking. Sorry,
so
sir.
you have
Again,
to go to. No problem. No problem. That's completely fine. So you have to go to authenticate.com as a website. Authenticate is a Turnitin product. Authenticate is also a plagiarism detection software. The technology is same in Turnitin and Authenticate. It's just that the user interface is different for both the application. Authenticate is mostly now Authenticate as a software, we have kept it for individual purpose. People can buy, for individual researchers can buy Authenticate. However, individual researchers can't buy Turnitin. Turnitin has to be bought by institutes because it's a higher education product. So you can go to authenticate.com and you can go to buy credits as an option, just like how you can see on the screen. And you'll see all the rates which are there in US dollars. Since Turnitin is a US based company, the pricing is in dollars. And you can click on buy credits and you can avail the particular this. Now the similarity report for both Authenticate and Turnitin is almost the same because the technology used is almost the same.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
No worries. Any more questions?
Good afternoon, sir. Sunita here. I want to ask one question.
Yes,
Suppose I'm reading one paper and I found that some good quote is there in that, and I want to copy in my research paper. But how I can write in the bibliography, which is the original source? I don't know from where the person has taken that particular quote.
If you know the name of the person, you can just put it in inverted commas, that particular quote, and you can enter the name of the person who has wrote that particular quote. That will automatically be excluded under the quoted section there.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes,
Hello, sir.
yes, sir. Yes,
This
sir.
is Ravi from Bharati Technical Colleges Engineering. Thank you
Yes,
for
sir.
nice section, sir. I want to ask you, suppose in my thesis, in the
Your
literature review,
voice is not that clear, sir. If you can come close to the mic.
yes, sir. Is it, sir? Is it now? Is it okay, sir? Am I audible, sir? Hello,
Yes,
sir.
yes, 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 yes.
Sir, in a literature review chapter, if I mention the paper Adnan sir et.al, I know means all other authors have described one concept. Hello, sir. Suppose in a literature review, suppose I am going to do the review of around 40-50 papers, and I am going to mention your name. I have referred your paper, and in that I am mentioning with your name, Adnan sir and others. Normally et.al, I think it is the standard format. Adnan sir and et.al means all other authors have described the particular thing, how to use this anything, yeah, any technical concept. Now, even though I am mentioning your name, whatever content I have written, can I write as it is from your abstract or from your conclusion from your paper of, is it, can I use the same lines? Yeah, it will come under plagiarism. Suppose I have taken some lines from your abstract, from paper of your abstract, and
No,
some
I
lines.
got it. I got it. As long as you are citing it, that it's my work and you have probably taken as a reference by citing it using inverted commas, using my name as a reference, it's not going to come under plagiarism.
Sir, but last week only I have done the using Turnitin, and then even though some of the lines they have shown it is it comes under plagiarism. So whether I should
See, now,
exclude that?
yeah, there are two things you need to do. Firstly, the inverted commas that you are putting, you need to put it properly because Turnitin is a software, it's an application. The input that you are putting, according to that only, it will index it. So you need to put the inverted comma properly on the particular reference that you have probably taken from any other work. And also at the same time, you need to exclude it under the citations tab. Only then it will be excluded. Even if the inverted commas are not properly put, if there are extra spaces in between, even then if you go ahead and exclude it, probably it won't exclude it because you haven't put the inverted commas and the solution won't be able to detect it.
Sir, inverted commas should be there only for the name of author or for the complete content?
Content.
Complete content.
Yes.
All the lines, suppose in the name of Adnan sir, I am mentioning 8 lines. He sir has done work on this area, and he concluded like that. He has done simulation and all that. So everything should be under inverted commas.
The start to the end. Yes.
Okay, start to the end. Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Okay, thank you for asking the all question. I think we are concluding here. There are a lot of queries, and what we will do, we'll conduct another session or another such kind of FDP in the next coming month. There will solve all your queries. So I request Bidnur sir to take out the charge. Bidnur sir, you're there?
Excuse me, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to all. Honorable Dr. V.G. Kadam sir, Regional Director, Mumbai Campus. respected Mr. Adnan Chaudhary sir, respected Dr. Anjali Kalse ma'am, Director of BVMSR, and our most valued faculties and participants from different colleges, institutions, streams, districts, and states. It is my privilege to offer a vote of thanks to faculties and participants. First and foremost, our hearty thanks to our Honorable Vishwajit Kadam sir, Secretary of Bharati Vidyapit. He is a valuable inspiration source of our Bharati family. Also, I offer my gratitude to our respected Regional Director Mumbai campus, Dr. Vilasrao Kadam sir, for his benevolent support and mentorship all the time. I also extended big thanks to our director, respected Dr. Anjali Kalse ma'am, for her excellent coordination, cooperation, and support and valued motivation. Now I am on behalf of BVMSR from our entire organizing team. It is my pleasure some to express our deepest respect and gratitude towards the hero of the day, Mr. Adnan Chaudhary sir, for his valuable and crucial information and guidance on the burning topic of plagiarism. I am thankful to Mr. Adnan Chaudhary sir from bottom of heart. I must mention my deep sense of appreciation of Mr. Chaudhary sir for his explanation on plagiarism. Further, I may like to express sincere thanks to Chaudhary sir for giving an excellent coverage on research plagiarism. I am also very grateful to Mr. Chaudhary sir for his analysis on plagiarism concept. Further, I may like to express my sincere thanks to all participants for their active and interesting participation. I would like to thank all organizing team and faculty member and non-teaching staff. Special thanks to Professor Sonali sir, Dr. Uma Durgudi ma'am, and Professor S.S. Ranjan for their great contribution in this successful FDP program. They burn midnight oil for the success of this program. Thank you. Thank you to all. Now I hand over the mic to Uma ma'am. Please, Uma ma'am, take charge.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your insightful presentation, sir. Your talk was particularly appropriate at this time when we are considering new initiatives for expanding growth. Many of us were especially interested in this type of presentation that has cleared most of our doubts. Thank you very much, sir. I request all the participants to please keep your camera on so like we can have a common photo session. Just 2 more minutes, please. Thank you, everyone. The feedback
Thank you, ma'am.
link is been shared in the chat box. Please don't forget to fill the feedback form.
Excuse me, excuse me.
Chat
I
box
have
kuda stu.
excuse me.
Yes,
The
ma'am.
chat
Yes,
box is not
please.
accessible to us.
Yes, yes, yes. Same question is of mine. The chat box is not showing.
Share it in the WhatsApp.
Sure,
Yes,
sure.
yes,
We will do that too.
And what about the recording, ma'am?
We have like done a YouTube recording. Okay, so the link will be shared by everyone. Okay, live YouTube was available, so that link will be shared by in the WhatsApp group also.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, madam. Congratulations to all team
Thank you, ma'am.
members.
Very nice
Thank you,
session.
thank you very much. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you, everyone, for having me here. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very good. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Anjali madam. Thank you, all the coordinators. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Stay safe, everyone. Take care. Stay safe.
Thank you, sir. You too, sir.
Bye, bye, bye.
So I would like to thank all the organizing team and Bharati Vidyapeeth for conducting a lot of FDPs on different topics. Thank you, Amma.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Ma'am, where is the feedback form?
Ma'am, the link has been shared in the chat box. If it is not accessible, I will be sharing it in the chat box, like WhatsApp group also.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Uma madam. Thank you, Anjali madam. And thank you, Adnan sir. Bharati
Thank you,
Vidyapeeth.
sir. Thank you.
Yeah, very nice.
Madam, can you share the feedback form in the WhatsApp group if possible for a few minutes?
Sure, sir. Sure.
Because the chat box is not showing, so better you share in the WhatsApp group.
Okay, no issues, sir. We will share it.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
All right. So I'll see you guys later. Take care. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thanks.
Just one
Thank you,
question. I
sir.
want to share the recording. Can we see the recording? Because it was getting disconnected in between. So can we see recording?
Yes, ma'am. The YouTube link will be shared in the WhatsApp group, so you can see the sessions in YouTube also. It will be available throughout.
Okay, fine. Because for about 10-15 minutes, I could not even connect. I was trying again and again. So if I can just see the recording.
Yeah, it will be available. No issue, ma'am.
Okay, fine. And you are sharing the feedback form too, right?
Yes. The link will be shared.
Already
Okay,
said.
thank you.
Already said.